Hello and welcome to today's webinar. Disaggregated architecture is the new HCI. On this event, you'll hear how NetApp HCI scales on your terms. This is a fast-paced demo event, and in about 30 minutes, you're going to learn everything you need to know about the disaggregated HCI solution from NetApp. Make sure that you ask as many questions as you'd like during the event, because that's the point of this, to get all your questions answered and to see the solution in action. So make sure you use the questions box there in the GoToWebinar control panel to ask as many questions as you'd like. And with that, I'm excited to hand it over to today's expert presenter. That is Cindy Gutowski, Senior Product Marketing Manager at NetApp. Take it away, Cindy.
Oh, thank you, David. Hey, everybody. My name is Cindy Gutowski. I'm the Product Marketing Manager for NetApp. I'm the NetApp HCI PMM, and today we are going to dive into NetApp's disaggregated hyperconverged architecture. So we all know today IT is faced with disparate environments between public clouds and private clouds. And you know the challenge is they have to contend with legacy applications on-premise, cloud-native application development, and support these new expectations that public clouds have set within our IT environments, including easy to consume infrastructure, fast to deploy, enhanced user experiences. And these new dynamics have new expectations and are driving new requirements for infrastructure. And to top it off, developers and the DevOps community are now driving more and more of the demand to support continuous integration and continuous development to keep their businesses moving forward at a pace that we have never seen before, right? New user experiences, new applications to keep their customers attracted to them and their environments. And with these new demands shifting, administrators or IT departments are starting to look at ways where they can decrease costs and increase efficiencies. So what we're seeing in this dynamic is administrators are disappearing. They need more automation. IT leaders need to make more room for business decisions and ways to help businesses grow faster. So as a result, today's infrastructure has got to be agile, regardless of location, whether it's on-prem or in the cloud. It has to scale. It has to scale with consistent management and automation, including a consumption model that is easy to consume and fast to deploy, just like it is in public clouds. Those public clouds have set these expectations. And today, we are going to talk about a disaggregated architecture that helps enable both public cloud and private cloud environments. But first, let's look at HCI architectural options that are available to us today. So when we first announced, or when we first seen hyperconverged infrastructure solutions that came to market, they were virtualized a storage controller to consolidate and simplify IT. However, these solutions deliver value by delivering an easy-to-buy, simple-to-install system with consolidated management. Sounds great and worked really well. However, these solutions are what most folks think of when they think about HCI, which is today the defined market. However, it comes with some disadvantages. The second type of HCI solution converged storage operations into the hypervisor. These solutions keep the simplicity and consolidated management of HCI while adding a deeper integration with the hypervisor and additional bare metal performance. However, they sacrifice flexibility for supporting multiple hypervisors, and they end up creating a vendor lock-in to a single hypervisor. So before we had vendor lock-in on other platforms, now we have hypervisor vendor lock-in. And with NetApp took a different approach. We took a third option to market with our HCI by developing a solution that combines independent compute and storage nodes, right? So this architecture allows us to deliver the core HCI simplicity and management that you're familiar with what was originally announced. We've consolidated capabilities with bare metal performance, again, while adding enterprise-class storage functionality and scale. The difference is our solution also has some sacrifices with some efficiencies We can't quite get to that lower entry point that you're familiar with in your traditional HCI solutions. However, NetApp HCI, with its disaggregated architecture, makes up for this in compute and storage efficiencies, right? So we've introduced a solution that allows you to scale storage and compute independently of one another, but we're still seen as a single architecture. So NetApp's HCI is a hybrid multi-cloud infrastructure that consists of software-defined compute, networking, and storage, and all-flash array storage. It delivers a public cloud consumption experience. It's easy to purchase. It's fast to deploy. It has automation with complete dynamic scale and operational efficiency. So what do you get? So with that NetApp HCI, you get the ability to easily manage and run multiple applications with predictable performance. Pretty cool. You can scale compute and storage resources independently, and this is what I love best about our HCI solution. You can leverage your existing compute and storage resources that you already have in your environment. We at NetApp like to say, bring your own compute or bring your own storage. Don't waste those resources that you've already invested in. The beauty of NetApp HCI, which traditionally came by way of our acquisition of SolidFire, is comprised of the SolidFire all-flash array. And with that, we provide the ability for you to add your existing compute to that all-flash array and vice versa. If you already have storage, you can add our compute, because our compute is consistent and common with Intel and NVIDIA GPUs, where you can add our compute to your existing storage infrastructure. So we introduce a lot of flexibility. And with that NetApp, the infrastructure and with that infrastructure and cloud architects can now seamlessly access, well, all right, so I forgot to talk about the cloud data services. So while you can scale compute and storage resources independently, you can also access your cloud data services. We allow you to deploy containers on-premise through NetApp Kubernetes service. All right, so now you've got the flexibility to scale independently. You've got the flexibility to add existing resources that you've already got. You have the flexibility to consolidate multiple workloads onto a single cluster or a single system and still have that guaranteed performance. And the third cool thing about our disaggregated HCI is we enable you to do cloud data services on-prem. And those data services can come by way from any public cloud provider. Again, we have introduced no vendor lock-in through your public clouds. You can develop your applications and data from any public cloud and or on-premise. You can move to any public cloud and on-premise. So we give you the ability to mix and match wherever you want to do your development and host your application. So NetApp, we really worked hard to make your private cloud experience very consistent with what you could do in your public clouds. We have consistent management, we have automation, we have the ability for you to see what's going on with your applications from any public cloud and to or on-premise. So it takes a lot to put this together and to enable this. I'm just going to kind of walk through some of the components that make up NetApp HCI. And first of all is, I've mentioned many times, it's easy to deploy. And we have the NetApp deployment engine, which configures and deploys the entire system, including storage and compute. And it deploys this within 45 minutes. And what's cool about this is our engineers have taken over 400 lines of code and have automated for you as the administrator, so that you don't have to go in and code out all of your requirements. And so when you do deploy, we automatically install your compute and configure your storage for you within 45 minutes or less. We also have Element software, and our Element software is part of our SolidFire all-flash array. And here's where we get the unique features and functionalities of our quality of service. Quality of service allows you to set policies for each workload and or groups of workloads. And you can set them as min, max, and or burst policies. This gives you the ability to manage and guarantee performance for over hundreds, I don't even know how many workloads, I know it's hundreds of workloads within a single system. So none of your users ever have to experience any performance degradation within their workload. I've been in the business for 30 years, and I can recall sitting at my desktop where, you know, I sent a call out or running a backup, and sometimes that backup may not completed overnight because something else, some other batch run was done, and it depleted the system of its performance, and therefore my backup got hurt, and you know, there went my data protection for the next day. You don't have to worry about that with our Element software. We guarantee that every workload has the right amount of performance it needs to complete its task. We also provide native management integration with VMware, Red Hat, and OpenShift. So again, you can leverage your existing tools and knowledge. You don't have to learn new data management tools. Again, reinvest in what you've already invested in, lean on it, leverage it. We've really given a lot of attention to help our environments, help our customers utilize what they already know and leverage what they've already purchased and what they've already acquired. So I'm going to go back to true investment protection. You know, so not only do we scale independently, we allow you to scale individually within your environment with your own tools. Again, I'm going to go back to that no vendor lock-in. We have VMware support. We have Red Hat support. You choose your hypervisor. You choose the tools that you're familiar with, and you get to use those with NetApp HCI. And then our cloud services on-premise. Cool thing is, with our cloud data services, you can pick any public cloud provider and utilize any containers anywhere. What we introduced a year ago is NetApp Kubernetes service on HCI, whereas NetApp HCI has now become another region or another option for your containers. And I said it before, where you can do your DevOps on-premise and or any public cloud you desire and move them in any place that you want. So you can do development on-prem, in any private cloud, and anything in between. And it's all monitored by Cloud Insights. So when you do this deployment, you have the ability to see what's going on in your entire NetApp environment through Cloud Insights. And then we also round out the offering with Active IQ. Lots of intelligence in NetApp's Active IQ. We provide proactive monitoring. We provide growth planning advisors. A great example of Active IQ, we have an Active IQ advisor. Remember all those workloads you just put on your NetApp HCI? Well, in Active IQ, we watch and we monitor what's going on with those workloads, and we'll do discoveries on a daily basis. And we may notice that the policies that you have set are causing your system to run inefficiently. It may learn that the policies you set for one workload may not need as much as you've allocated to it, but it may discover that there's another workload that requires even a higher max I/O rate or more performance allocated to it for it to complete. Active IQ will send you and you can ask for how often you want to be alerted as to how your performance efficiencies are across all these workloads, but it will actually tell you, hey, you might want to change your min-max for this workload or this workload set. You don't quite need as much as you've allocated it, and you've got another application over here that is starting to suffer a little bit, and you may need to allocate more. So lots of intelligence in Active IQ. So again, just easy to deploy, easy to manage. More so, monitoring and planning will help you get through and ensure that you don't have or run into any deficiencies when it comes to workload performance. All right, so the building blocks. Of course, it takes a village. So the building blocks of NetApp HCI are comprised of compute, graphic compute, again, our SolidFire all-flash array storage nodes, and Mellanox switching. And again, all of this is configured and deployed automatically with our NetApp deployment engine, or we refer to it as NDE. Our H615C, which was announced at VMworld this last fall, that features an NVIDIA card. You have and also some Intel CPU chips. And with this building block, you have the options of different cores, different memory options, and you pick and choose and configure based on what your workload or what your use case is. So no matter what, it's flexible within the unit itself. Then we have the H610C, which was rolled out about a year ago, again featuring only an NVIDIA graphic card. This one's more for your Windows environment, more for knowledge-based workers, whereas our H615C is more general purpose, but has a lot more GPU horsepower for those larger environments. And then our storage array, or our all-flash array, will allow you to scale up to a petabyte of all-flash storage. You can mix and match any CPU, GPU, and storage depending on what your workload need is, or depending on how your environment is scaling. We give you that capability to scale as your IT scales, right? So I'm going to go into a little bit about that independent scale. So while NetApp HCI is deployed as compute and storage nodes, they're managed and maintained as a single appliance. So in addition, with this architecture, it also allows for the flexibility to scale and maintain the compute and storage independently. So another cool factor about scaling them independently, when your VMware or vSphere compute nodes can be added as business requirements change over time, the cool thing about this is new versions and or patches can be deployed as they are released by VMware. Because of the independent scale, you can pick and choose your compute and when you want to upgrade or patch that specific compute node. You don't have to patch or upgrade the entire system at once. That's kind of a deficiency of traditional HCI that we have overcome. In addition to that, you have the flexibility to upgrade the storage OS, or our element storage. You can add capacity or performance demand as performance demands increase. You can upgrade new versions of element at will. Again, each storage node can be upgraded individually or as one. However, we would recommend the element OS always gets upgraded at the same time across all of your storage nodes. But you do have that flexibility to scale, upgrade independently as you see fit. You might have a certain application. Does it require a certain version of VMware? Maybe you don't need to upgrade it right away, or maybe it's too complex to do right away, and you want to wait or defer that upgrade. You can do that within a single system. So investment protection. Again, 30 years in the business, and I know we've used to tout investment protection, but at times when a new storage array would come out, or new drives, or a new CPU would be introduced, I don't know how many times I've watched data centers have to do rip and replace just to take advantage of new features and functionalities, or just to scale that additional capacity. NetApp HCI really does offer true investment protections, and NetApp HCI allows for intermixing of product generations, where you can add compute nodes with different CPU generations and storage nodes with varying capacity points without having to reconfigure the storage and without having to rip out and replace that entire system. So let's see. Yeah, every generation that we've introduced since the introduction of NetApp HCI has been back supported. So truly a true investment protection with our offering. So along with all of that flexibility, the investment protection, with NetApp HCI, you can configure solutions with different capabilities. The cool thing is, whether you have a high core count or a low core count or specific graphics requirements, or maybe you're doing end user computing workloads, this disaggregated architecture enables compute options that give you the ability to configure for mixed workloads from multiple vSphere clusters. Remember, I said you can put hundreds of workloads in this single cluster. Well, on top of that, it can be different workload types. It can be that general purpose. It can be a database. It can be VDI. It can be end user computing, right? And you always get global efficiencies. So I really like this. With our disaggregated architecture, we are able to always have our storage efficiencies running. So deduplication is always on. Compression is always on. If you're familiar with traditional storage arrays, whenever you turn those two things on, it always taints the performance. And with this disaggregated architecture, we have dedicated storage CPUs where the storage OS runs. And this disaggregated architecture allows for us to have our workload CPUs and GPUs run independently, right? So having these efficiencies running on NetApp HCI will never impact your workload performance or your multiple workload performance environments. Another cool thing about a disaggregated architecture, one of my favorites. All right, more openness and more freedom. So NetApp HCI supports vSphere, and vSphere consumes storage from HCI or from other storage. In addition, other systems like KVM can use storage from NetApp HCI, and you can use other storage such as ONTAP or third-party storage systems can be used in your NetApp HCI. Again, more versatility, more flexibility, no more vendor lock-in. So I'm going to dive in a little bit on quality of service. And traditionally, when multiple applications share the same infrastructure, all performance resources, both IOPS and bandwidth, are freely available to all applications, right? We're all familiar with that. All the time across the shared resources, a huge deficiency of existing HCI solutions that are out there today. And so without a more precise resource allocation, one application, or we refer to it as noisy neighbor, can easily consume an unfair share of the resources, right? I talked about something, what ActiveIQ can identify if we've got a workload or an application that's taking up more than what we've allocated, and maybe another one isn't using as much as we allocated, which leaves, you know, that one that's consuming all of the resources leaves little available for others, right? So it's kind of the first come, first served allocation methodology, which has a huge negative on the bigger and the smaller applications that are within your system. So performance expectations on an application by application basis are erratic and can be unpredictable. And one misbehaving application can cripple the entire system. I'm not sure if you've had that experience, but I know I've seen it. And to keep these variances in check, customers must constantly monitor and manage which applications share resources. And often the solution doesn't suffice, and you end up having, again, deficiency in some of those workloads, or more noisy neighbors or unhappy customers to their application. With NetApp's QoS, our settings help you to eliminate resource contention and variable application performance that's caused by those applications that are consuming all the resources. We enable you to set policies. So each volume on the system gets its own minimum, maximum, and burst settings, which provide for predictable performance for each application without incurring the capacity sprawl or low utilization that are common in today's hyperconverged infrastructures. So again, eliminating that noisy neighbor, ensuring that the applications and all the workloads that are on your system have the right performance requirements and I/O that they need without stealing from those lower end applications. All right, so right now I'm going to walk through a demo of what QoS looks like. And in this demo, we're also going to go through a little bit of a demonstration of Cloud Insights and Active IQ. So again, it's not just about the system itself, but holistically, what can we give to you to help you within your environment? I'm going to hit play. It's a really fast demo, so I'm actually going to stop it at certain points and talk a little bit about what you're seeing on the screen. So first of all, this is a demonstration of what your environment looks like with QoS. Let's see if we can't get it. But if you see all these squiggly lines at the beginning, that's representing your environment without QoS. And when we enable QoS is when you see all those squiggly lines start going straight. That says our quality of service is doing its job, and it has allocated what you've identified in your policies as your min-max I/O dedicated to those workloads. So it's basically, it straightens them out. Make sure that everybody is smooth, consistent, and is getting everything that they need to not be starved for performance. On this slide that you see, here's where you have the ability to set those policies. You can see how you can set the min, max, and I/O burst. Each setting, you can do it per volume, and you can have multiple workloads in a volume. So again, a pretty efficient tool. Now here we go. So this is without QoS. That's when QoS kicks in. And then on this slide, this is kind of what everything looks like within within Element OS. And Element OS is where QoS is hosted. It's a dashboard, so you can see what your IAPS look like across your entire infrastructure. You can monitor your environment. This way, if you see something that's not, and this is directly within the system itself. The monitoring capabilities are excellent. You can go in, you can change your policies if you see directly from your system. And if you're one of those administrators that you're only managing and monitoring the system itself, this is the dashboard that you're going to see and that you're going to use. And you can make decisions for yourself if you need to modify your min-max and your burst rates. You can go in and do that based on what you're seeing. What I do want to say is when we get into Active IQ has an advisor, and I would highly encourage you to turn on Active IQ with your purchase of NetApp HCI. The benefits that we provide with the intelligence in this tool are huge. And again, I said it before, Active IQ will actually monitor your workload environments and advise you if it sees that there's one of your settings are deficient, maybe one of your workloads are bumping up against that maximum I/O rate that you've established, and maybe you need to increase that more. Or maybe you have other workloads that don't quite need as much of what you have allocated. Therefore, you can switch. Active IQ's advisor will make recommendations to you. You can set it as to how many times or how often you want to be alerted. But it'll send you alerts. It'll send you recommendations. It will tell you what's going on in your environment and advise you if you should consider increasing and or decreasing what you have set as your min-max policies. Kind of a neat little tool. Lots of intelligence that go behind this, and it does a lot more across NetApp products across the board. And then once you get into a cloud environment, NetApp Cloud Insights allows you to see all of your NetApp environment. This is integrated with NetApp IQ, or they sit along side by side, and there's not a prereq to have one or the other, but NetApp Cloud Insights gives you a holistic view of your entire NetApp installation, allows you to monitor, optimize, and troubleshoot your environment. And your basic edition is free of charge. Again, you can also see your entire infrastructure holistically across your clouds, right? That's what Cloud Insights will do for you. And there's some other tools that we're bringing to market at the cloud level as well. All right, that is the end of the demo. It's just a quick one just to show you how you set min-max policies within QoS, how we monitor and make recommendations for you if we see that something's starving or something's getting too much. Definitely help you to be efficient when it comes to quality of service or multiple workloads in your HCI. All right, well, that was a quick preview of what NetApp HCI's disaggregated architecture is, how it's built, the components that it's comprised of. And, there's three things to take away is, it provides elastic scale. Number one thing is we guaranteed mixed workload performance. No workload will ever be starved for performance. Another cool thing is we are another cloud region. We provide cloud services on-premise with the ability for you to do development of your applications on-prem, move them to any private cloud and or back. A key component of what things look like in a multi-hybrid cloud environment. We enable that, and without a disaggregated architecture, it would be very difficult to do. We allow you to scale and consume your compute and storage resources as your data center requires or as your infrastructure grows. We give you that flexibility. If you want more information, obviously visit us at netapp.com and or contact your local NetApp sales rep. We'd be happy to show you a demo of our Kubernetes service on-premise, and or we've got HCI on wheels, where we actually roll a half-populated rack into your environment and will allow you to do a proof of concept with your own applications on site. Kind of another unique tool that we have. I want to say thank you. Thanks, David, for having me. I appreciate it, and I'll take any questions if you have any.
Yes, excellent presentation. Love the demo as well. So let's see here. We do have some questions for you, Cindy. First question that came in, they're asking about, scalability is obviously important, but what other benefits can I get with the disaggregated architecture of NetApp HCI?
Right, excellent question, and there's a lot I could tout about that, but I think the three things I would talk to about disaggregated architectures. There's no wasted resources, right? No data center with multiple workloads grows all pools of resources in a linear fashion. And with NetApp HCI, you are not forced to scale CPU and storage simultaneously like you do with traditional HCIs. With a disaggregated HCI, you can scale CPU and storage as you needed, and you're not wasting those resources. Right? So when you scale non-linearly, those resources sit there static, and that's one thing that we don't do. Flexibility is another thing. You can split the system apart. You can deploy it in other locations. You can utilize existing compute and storage resources and leverage your own existing investment. And then I think the third one is, obviously I've talked about it, we demoed it, is guaranteed workload performance. And in NetApp HCI, the storage processor, I mentioned this before, is preserved for data management and efficiencies while the CPU node is utilized for workload performance. This enables guaranteed workload performance service levels or no noisy neighbor within your environment.
I like it. I like it. Sounds good. Yeah, we all need flexibility and greater efficiency. What about public clouds? There's another question here. What public clouds are supported?
Great question. I use public clouds fluidly, and here we like to say there's no cloud lock-in with NetApp HCI, and we support all public clouds. Of course, the three big ones, Amazon, Google, and Microsoft, are all supported on NetApp HCI, and then there's others globally that we support too.
All right, excellent. Let's see. NetApp defines HCI as a hybrid cloud infrastructure. Is NetApp HCI a hyperconverged infrastructure as well?
Great question. And we have two descriptors for our NetApp HCI. And because of our capabilities of enabling a hybrid cloud environment, we do have one descriptor that's called the hybrid cloud infrastructure. However, NetApp HCI is a disaggregated hyperconverged infrastructure. It's designed, and I like to say it's designed for hybrid cloud environments. So those two descriptors may be confusing, but it's a disaggregated, hyperconverged infrastructure designed for hybrid cloud environments.
Excellent, excellent. All right. Well, let's see. Last question I think we have time for, and that is, what do you recommend people do to get started?
My first recommendation would be, reach out to your sales rep if you're interested in a POC. If you have NetApp HCI already, we have NetApp Kubernetes containers in preview mode. You can take a look at and put containers in your on-premises on your existing HCI. I think first step is come and visit us at the website. There's a lot more details and information there.
Awesome, awesome. Well, it's been a great event, Cindy. A great demo as well. Thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you. Have a great day.
For more information, visit netapp.com. See you next time.